Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith, the Needle Black Quant Edge VTF here, T3 Live, with a special edition of the weekend. As I thought and saw everything going down this weekend, I decided to open up this to everyone on my YouTube, put it on the Twitter. It's just that important. I think most of you who've heard my voice before and listened to me, I really care about people, and I saw a lot of people getting hurt and floundering this week, and let's clean that up. We got a lot of volatility, obviously, and so I wanted to start off to point that out. First of all, my father passed away 4 years ago today, so I want to dedicate this to him. That's my father, Jimmy Smith, at Niagara Falls in 1938. So, Pop, this is for you. We're going to go help save some more people. So, this week, the volatility was so high. We had a 20,000 point swing from each high and low in the Dow Jones, the diamonds, which means it's almost 100%, almost the entire Dow, if you caught every possible move. Now, obviously, you're not going to do that and stuff like that, but that's how much volatility was baked in here. And one of the problems you'll see, and you go to your Twitter feed, and you'll see some guys are gone, and you'll see some guys that you thought knew what they were doing, not knowing what to do. And if you haven't been trading for more than 10 years or so, you've never seen this. And the only times that you've seen anything like this, it's been a little different. So during the when Trump got elected, the futures went down, but that was overnight. And so if you were only trading the cash session, you didn't see that. Brexit, that was overnight too. Now, granted, that came in and did some more stuff, but it was overnight in the futures, not during the day. January 2016, that was the beginning of the beginning of the year. And so if we go back to that and the SPY, that was the beginning of the year. So a lot of people probably coming in flat, right, and don't get caught as bad as could have. So in here, January 2016 here, got in hit. So it's when things occur, right? So even if you're around that back then, Jan 2016, slam down, right? Even if you're around back then, it's a little bit different when it happens like it has, when it happens. So the last real move like this was the flash crash in 2010. And so what you're seeing is all these guys with technical indicators and stuff, and totally floundering this week. And the biggest piker move was to at least salvage something off of going after the 200-day moving average today when the algos covered some shorts, right? Which is nice, and that's great. It's like I don't like to diss people. I'm just trying to help people because you're seeing this. I'm like, I'm not the only one seeing this of people that you thought knew what they're doing. Having no answers this week about how to trade this stuff. So one of the really sad parts was watching SVXY and XIV, and because we love to trade this and all this kind of stuff, and in hindsight, I wish I would have sounded the alarm to more people. It was kept in house, but if you watch my YouTube Smiths in the Black, greatest story ever sold, the 2-2 reversal I talked about, and in the last weekend's video I talked about it on T3. And the 2-2 reversal is when you take out one part of the range to the upside. That's a 2, right? So inside bar is a 1. 2 is taking out one side of the range. And a 2-2 reversal is when this is green, this takes that out, comes back red, and takes this down. So this was a 2-2 reversal monthly down below 110, which I talked about. And as a matter of fact, I used the word medieval. And so on the VTF, when I would talk, and in last week's video, I posted this. And I said, look, if they want to get medieval, this thing gets cut in half, right? And I said I was looking maybe 58. It got even worse than that, right? But I talked about it, and it was in the video. The 2-2 is part of the greatest story video, and some people still got caught. And that's where if you break rules when the volatility is really high, you're going to get hurt. And I want to be clear about that. And so heard some real horror stories, and that's sad. And that's one of the reasons I'm opening this video up to everybody, because I don't want to see this happen to anybody, and I want you to be able to take advantage of this volatility, because it was a really, really great trading week if you know what to do. So you've heard me talk about time frame continuity, and what that means is full time frame continuity, when we go to the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and the 60, means we have full time frame continuity the upside if we're trading higher than we are on the month, the week, the day, and the 60. So if you were looking anywhere this week, it would be something like a vert, right? Vert. It's higher than it opened on the month. It's higher than it opened on the week. When it was higher than it opened on the day, then you're looking for any 60 that's green to go in there, right? Boom, boom, boom. And this thing was, one of the few that did that. But what's important to remember, and it's in my course, is that when volatility expands, like the way we've seen it, like I said, some people never seen the VIX at 50. Time frame continuity shrinks, right? Wherein the 60, 30, 15, 5, 3, 1 are what we're looking at. Doesn't mean these longer term stuff doesn't matter, but the reason that we do that is because when you're looking at something like the SPY, right, and you're looking at a 60-minute chart, the 60-minute chart, the 60-minute bars are moving as much as a normal month in 60 minutes, right? So that means we shrink it into intraday time frame continuity. So your 60 becomes your monthly, your 30 becomes your weekly, your 15 becomes your daily, and your 5 becomes your 60, right? Because you're seeing that much action in that amount of time. Now everybody doesn't want to trade like that, but that's how it goes. And so when you're seeing something like SPY doing what it did, you'll see this inside 60 right here, right? Boom, there's your monthly down. Ready? Boom. 1 is an inside bar, scenario 1. 2, 2, 2. Bam, 2. Inside 2, 2. And you're going to see all this stuff, and it constantly, like even today, inside 60, boom, 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 boom. And now, once you get down here, if you watch the scenario video, right, and you come back in here, now, once that 60 goes green, that's the potential reversal. You took out the lower low, and you come back in and turn green on that. That's something you want to know about, right? Because now your 60 is your monthly going back up. If you look back at that, the 15 hammer here calls the low right at the bottom of the hour, right? And that causes that 60 to go back up. And you're seeing these huge moves, and you can even break it down to the 3-minute, because what we want to look at is that when something triggers, what will it create, right? So the low was an actual inside 3, which then came up and created that 15-minute hammer, which took that. This is a momentum hammer, a little hard to see on the 3, but all that kind of stuff. And even when you're watching the futures like this, then we don't, even though the futures are moving and it's a Friday and we can go after these options, which we did, you can look for other things that set up that might have more of a percentage bang for the buck. All right, and so here's NVIDIA when all that goes down, right? And you go off the 30-minute here, which is now your weekly. 30-minute breaks 224.32, and in the next half an hour, there's $4 or $5, and it spiked even higher. Or you go to leverage stuff like Labu and go Labu 60 off the lows, hammer, that's a 2-2 reversal, but a hammer low, and that goes $10 in 60 minutes, right? So you're going to have to shrink this down. So if you see guys posting stuff on Twitter over the weekend about anything longer than a daily chart, they have no idea what they're talking about, right? They're just going to get crushed. So this week on Wednesday, I did a webinar talking about some of this stuff here, and it was great. And a lot of people came in the last 2 days to see what we do. And this is even nowhere near all the things that we did, but they were very surprised and that this is how it works and stuff like that, because you see all the indicator guys just no clue, floundering on how to trade volatility. And so when you can shrink these things down, use the 3 scenarios and the actionable signals the way we do, this is how you're going to do it. And if it's too hot for you, well, then step back, because there will still be 60s, right? Those 60 minutes. Remember, this takes 60 minutes to set up. You can still do that, so you don't have to worry about the 3s and the 5 minutes and stuff like that. So at the end of the webinar, we had a deal that is supposed to expire tonight, and I'm not really a salesman. You don't see me chest bumping and saying we made all this, blah blah blah. But when I see guys being like, "Hey man, pay me $5,000 and you can sit next to me for a week," or "Here's my 500-page manual on all the indicators and blah 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 that works," no, I'm not going to stand for that. So if you email me over the weekend, and if T3 says the time has expired, I'll get you in. rob.smith@t3live.com. And what that is compared to all that stuff, $175, something like that, for all my course material and me on the headset for a month. All right? Which is paying me maybe a nickel, a day or whatever. I know it's so bad. But because you know about me, I care about you. And the people who have come with me are seeing that during the day I'm working for them and showing these setups. And this is nothing compared to what we did. So if you'd like to do that, I'm trying to help you, and that's why I'm putting this out there. Because volatility at this level, you could make your year or more last week, or you could blow out your account in an hour. All right, and that's the difference of understanding this stuff when people are sitting there floundering trying to figure out. All right, so that said, I'm going to go through some of the daily stuff that I have for the weekend video, but I want to be very clear that things are going to change. And so I can show you a daily chart, but that if volatility continues the way it is, that things will change every 15 minutes, every half an hour, and we're going to be on our toes, and that's what we're going to be watching. Okay, so if we look at the SPY, right, here's what you're going to see. What you've been accustomed to is sector rotation, right, which you're not going to see when the futures are in control. What does that mean? So during this garbage here, VIX at 9 walking up, every day would be sector rotation. They're buying the tech, they're selling the this. They're buying the tech, they're selling the this, right? Now, when you have volatility like this, the futures are in control, right? The reason behind that is that nobody's doing anything in stocks because they're getting thrown around by the futures. Because when the futures are moving like this, if your stock is in the S&P 500 and they start tanking like this, there's a cash futures arbitrage. They're going to hit your stock regardless, all right? And so people are just trying to play defense and get out of the way. So what you're going to see when the futures are in control, almost every chart looks very similar. Now, what that means is there'll be some that are different, but here, when we had the shooting star in here, everything did that, right? It was so telegraphed last week. Everything did that. Shooter, boom, crush it. Now we have daily hammer, and almost everything's a daily hammer because the futures are governing the price action, right? Until that changes, people are trying to get out of the way of stocks and just not get killed. Now, as I'm going to go through a few things tonight, there's a few special situations here where that's not happening, and that's what we want to know about. But for the most part, the futures, when you're moving 50 to 100 handles a day, are by far in control. So we have the SPY going daily hammer, QQQ daily hammer after the shooter pummel. And so one of the things you can look for is some slight changes. And so what we saw here when we had this shooting star on a bunch of things, SMH was not strong enough to take out the highs and went inside day and got pummeled, went straight down to the lows. And when you understand this stuff, it was so telegraphed last week. It was perfect. It was a wonderful week. If we go to Apple hammer. What do you know? It's a hammer. So the difference here is it was a 3-2 month, was an outside month to the downside. But now, like I said, the volatility is so high that you might see these hammers and they might poke up in the morning and then just get wiped in the afternoon or in the first 15 minutes. So what we'll be looking for is to see if these hammers in almost everything confirm, first of all, and then watching the 60 in the shorter terms to reconfirm all day. Because as soon as they turn, we know the volatility is high enough to just wipe it all out. But if we go to small cappers with a 2-2 reversal month like most things, which means 2, take out the highs, one side of a range. Two, take out the other side of the range. Now, once again, hammer, because they all look the same. But you're coming into weekly, comes in here, slight lower low. So you've got this. So the other problem is, even if these hammers kick in, because of the huge range last week, we got the potential for an inside week. That's scenario one, an inside bar, which means you could get even more chop shop trying to get your money back. So we want to be aware of stuff like that. Go to the Dow Jones. I wonder what it looks like. Yeah, it's a hammer. All right, so we'll see. And you got mini mines and stuff like that. So we'll pay attention to these hammers if they want to bring them right back up. But we just want to be aware of what's going on. If we go to the trannies, what do you know? Hammer. And so what can we look for there? We can look for Alaska Air. So what's going on here? Weekly. Inside week goes down, not weak enough to take out last week's lows. That's something I want to know about. This would be a rev strat to the setup to the upside, right? Still might stay inside weak, but if we take out this 65.23, then we could look at that and then maybe not be here. But on a week where things are just getting destroyed, we want to look for anything that's not taking out last week's lows. Alaska Air is one of them. Spirit Airlines did, however, we can determine triangle by scenario 3, an outside bar. And if we can get back into this, the low of that is 39.52. Daily hammer above that would be 39.60. So you would get back into the old triangle. So if the trannies come roaring back, we'll take a look at that. Car, hammer, like everything. We're simply just looking at the potential back into the try. So hammer, hammer. That's why we're going to be so short tonight. XLU, the Utes. All right, so the Utes, month, come down here. Weekly, spike down like everything else. So we'll just see if there's anything else we can see in the utility. Southern Company. Here, goes to lows and comes back. Hammer, shooter, hammer. So they've tried to take them down, tried to take them up, tried to take them down. So if the Utes start coming back up, certainly would look at this above 44.72. SRE looking the same. Outside 3 shooter, so it's 3.2 above 107.11. If we look at the REITs, inside year and down VNQ in the macro video, which we know about, getting pummeled. But what we do have is a couple days that we can look at, because the days are, at this point, longer term stuff. Inside day for AIV and AVB. So we want to see if they start coming back into these things as yield. Let's go to the XME. Hammer. All right, futures in control. Futures in control. Still, a lot of these monthlies are monthly shooters and down. Understand that. And we will pay attention to that when full time frame continuity kicks in on any of this stuff. Like if we start puking again, certainly. But because of the high volatility, we're going to be very aware of the shorter term stuff. So if we go to gold, nothing beats gold in the crisis, huh? Guess not. 2-day inside pattern doing nothing, right? So what we want to see here, if we go to the monthly, here, still an inside month. Can it come back through all this stuff? And the weekly takes this stuff out. Is it any weaker to get through this stuff? So there's that. You got silver, Rev Strat day hammer, inside day counters that. If we can get outside of that kind of thing. If we go to the GDX, and actually GDXJ was nice today, inside day and down, right? And so what it did do, per my previous videos, whether you saw them or not, or what it's trying to do, you got the outside bar, that's a 3. 2 takes out one side and then comes down here. So the objective on that is to take out 29.84. and went to 88, almost did it, but you can see this tight range stuff, garbage in here, not doing much. So we need that gold to kind of move. Outside of that, ATI. Goes weekly hammer. Try and come back up in here if there's any hope, but we'll see. Like I said, we're rifling through a bunch of stuff here tonight. FAS. And what you can see on a lot of this stuff, if we start to move higher, you got a big range to not being inside weak. That means you got to watch like a hawk anytime that there's any change in continuity. New day, new 60. What do you know? It's a hammer. XLF, hammer. KRE, hammer. Who's in control? Futures. Bank of America, hammer. Citicorp, hammer. JP Morgan, hammer. All that kind of stuff, right? Goldman Sachs, hammer. And the thing is here on Goldman Sachs, we start to watch these triangles. So when the triangles are too tight like this, and then outside, take it out, take these guys out to the outside. If we do start rallying, we are coming off a bunch of lot slower level triangles to try and come through here. So I'm not discounting that these hammers aren't going to work, right? It's just that they're formed by the futures, and if the futures start taking off, we can certainly watch all this stuff. Interactive brokers, hammer. And the good thing about interactive brokers would be that you could take that monthly back green and go full time from kind of the upside. Crude oil. That was very nice. Crude went clean inside week and down last week. So it is what it is. All right, puke, puke, puke. So in order to give us a signal on the daily, you have to take 2-2. So 2 to the downside, 2 back up. If we take out Friday's highs at 23.69, we'll see how that goes. XOP. A lot of these things got crushed, right? Daily hammer, XLE, daily hammer, OYH, not a hammer, still hurting there. So ExxonMobil got destroyed, and ExxonMobil, were we looking for that? We were. Why? The weekly 3-2, the outside triangle expansion down. So tight triangle takes out the lows, takes out the highs, takes out the lows. Big triangle looking like this. Daily, guess what it is? Yeah, hammer. Chevron, hammer. And still, remember in the monthly, one of the reasons we were watching Chevron for sure for this dump was go shooting star when the SPY did this on January straight up, and Chevron did this. Every reason to believe that's going to dump when it came down through there. So now you got daily hammer. APA. APA, weekly triangle. Here, triangle the out, triangle the out. So not much to do there, even if it rallies, it'd be inside. Just a triangle to keep an eye on going forward. Slumberjay. OU Butte. Inside week and up. Doji, measured move. Inside week. Rev Strat. Puke, right? So the question is whether it takes all that stuff out. But the more I show this to you, the more you're going to see it on everything, all right? RevStrat called the highs, puke. Inside bar called this. Halliburton comes back in, puke, puke, puke. If it rallies, you got a chance at an inside week, 2 week to hammer on the day. Baker, puke. RevStrat month to the downside. Inside bar, that's a 1. Takes out one side of the range, that's a 2. Shooting star back in the range, that's RevStrat. 1, 2, 2, 2. Reversal, puke. Below 30.72. And so we'll just have to see if that keeps going. Natty. One of the things you want to do during volatile times or non-volatile times is follow things that can move intraday. So Natty, triangle day out up in here and back down into here. But what you're seeing is a lot of nice intraday moves. Right? That's what we want right here. Inside 15. Below 54.87 and this thing puked $2-3. So the great thing about you guys is watching those setups and just playing the volatility. XRT retail. Okay, you watch CNBC? I bet you do. Remember how this was going to be a head and shoulders and then bam, right up on them? So here's the big broadening formation on the monthly XRT. XRT, guess what it does? Comes up and hammers, right? So if we go back to, if we start at target, hammer, right? That's what you're going to see. The good thing about target The good things about Target is one of the things we want to look for is things that are still a 1 on the month, which means still inside. What that means is they were too strong during all this debacle to not take out last month's lows. That's a good thing. That means they can reverse back up, try and go green. Now, how far they're going to go, it's another story, but Target is hammer. Costco, hammer, right? So the question here is you got the slight lower low. So when we look for triangles, we get the slight lower low, hammer, then try and take out that if possible. Once again, like most things, if we do rally, the problem's going to be inside week. Until we get out of that inside week, you're going to need to know every time we change day, every time we change 60, you can expect a potential reverse as we consolidate. Walmart. Futures, hammer. So here we take out slight lower low, then we'll see if we can get up into that stuff. Once again, be aware, inside weeks. AAP. And AAP does this. And like I said, a lot of this stuff might be bang bang. But here you go. Slight higher high, shooter. Slight lower low, hammer. This is your triangle like this. So if we start gunning early, you take this hammer out and maybe you gun up into here. But once you take out that, you got to defend it, which is nice. It's $5-6, but it's got to stay up here. Otherwise, it just comes right back into the range. Also, still inside month. AEO. Really, Rob? In this environment? Yeah. AEO takes the inside month down, comes back up into that range, and goes weekly hammer. Closes near the highs. So, who knows? Maybe we take that out and, like everything else, daily hammer. Bloodbath and beyond. In Bloodbath, daily rev strat, inside day comes down here, hammer like everything else. Weekly is also rev strat day, rev strat week, inside week countered with hammer. If it takes that out, 2239. The open was 2291. We can potentially go full time frame count to the upside. Best Buy. Monthly slightly takes that out and comes back. Weekly, hammer. Slight lower low off top of the old triangle support. So potential full time frame count to the upside with weekly hammer. Deckers. 'Tis the season for the Uggs. Inside week. Couldn't take out last week's lows. Green on the month, which you can't save for very many. So potentially when it opens daily 60, goes triangle them out, slight lower low, higher than that. Multiple bar pattern, can't get outside of this. So that whenever you see this, can't get outside of 1 bar's range, you can expect the internal triangle. And by that I mean higher high, lower low, higher high shooter, take these guys out, slight lower low. So potentially to take this out, try and take all these guys out with full time frame counter to the upside. We look for shorter term signals on that. DG. Outside day, fractal triangle, that's a 3. So above that, we'd be looking for the 3-2. The 2 is take out one side. Weekly hammer, right back up over 145. Dollar Tree. Hammer counters outside weak. 3, 2, 2. Potential reversal above 110.44. Gap Stores. Weekly hammer. And you can see this higher highs, lower lows triangle like this. Like so. That would kick in above 33.05. Monthly opening here, 32.82. So you'd have full time frame count to the upside if you took that out. Macy's. Oh, Macy's. So a little tight, but what you are doing on the weekly. Higher highs, lower lows, broadening formation, Kick back through that, 25.03. If we go to the IBB, sure things don't trade in broadening formations? Here's your weekly IBB. Come on, baby, right down to here. Bam, 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 bam. Now, good chance you go inside week. I wonder what it looks like on the daily. Hammer. XLV. Hammer. Go to GILD. Hammer. Good thing for GILD, once again, still inside month. So still too strong to take that out. Still consolidating, so we want to be aware of that, but starting off as, you guessed it, hammer. BIIB. Hammer. Hammer. On the month, on the weekly, triangle they out. Come down and take out some of this stuff, right? Good chance it goes inside week, even if it pops. So we want to be aware of any change. And like I said, when we're talking about intraday time frame continuity, that means every 30 minute, every 60, you got to be aware that if things are going, they can turn right around on you. Celgene. Chop, 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 chop. Sell them down. Having some issues here. Daily hammer. Amgen. Hammer. All right. And once again, even if it pops up, inside week, unless you take that out. Regeneron. Fighting back for life, weekly, down in here. Monthly is still rev strat to the downside. Inside, 1, 2, 2. Question is, can it get back in there? Don't know. Chop, shop. What you're going to see, this. The higher highs, the lower lows. There's your broadening formation right there. We can look at shorter term time frames. ACAD. Hammer. But if we take the ACAD out, you'll see this. This triangle here. So if the bios do indeed start going, this is a hammer on an outside bar. 3, 2 would be the reversal to look out. If we take out that hammer and start going, at least to take out 29.78. ALNY. Hammer off bottom O daily try. So if we want to come back up in there, once again, we'd be aware of the month down here and the weekly to not go inside week. But daily has done its job, starting to expand here. So if we start gunning through that, that would be nice. Clovis. Hammer. Trying to get back up into this stuff. Still blood red on the month. Chance at an inside week. But we're going to watch all these triangles just in case things start to do what they may do. ESPR. Hammer counter shooter day. So it tried to go rev strat down, but comes up to thwart that by going hammer here. It goes hammer weak, which would get taken out at 71.79, and at that point, the monthly opening, 71.97. You have a shot at going full time frame continuity back to the upside. GBT. Doji on the month, which is better than most. Outside weak, fractal triangle, which on the day looks like this. Higher highs, lower lows. So we can look and see if this thing can start to come back through there. This thing moves around, so you can keep an eye on that. ICPT. Oh, yeah. Been all over this one. Outside quarter, right? And what that means is that's a 3 on the quarterly. And what it's done, it took out the lows, took out the highs, shooter weak, back down, take them out. But once a 3, always a 3. So the question now is hammer. Can we take out the triangle to the downside, take it to the upside, take it to the downside, new lows, and come all the way back and take them out? Hammer, about 55.31. Rare. Daily triangle to the tick. Daily hammer. VRX. Barely budged. Weekly doji, barely budged, and all this stuff. So they go 2-2 reversal back to the upside over 1845. Go to tech. XLK. Once again, good chance you go inside weak. Now, here's your big hammer. Or here's your hammer, of course. Here's your bigger triangle. Remember this stuff? Trying to trade this? Boom, boom, boom. Now you got this. Now you take all this stuff out. So potential. Triangle them out. Come back up. SMH. Hammer. Here's your daily triangle here. Right? If they want to bring them right back up. Facebook. Hammer. Lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, inside day, puke, hammer. Now trying to get back into this triangle. So when people try and tell you that things don't trade in broadening formations, you know what to tell them. Because this triangle, what it'll show, this is the fractal of the monthly. What I mean by that is the monthly is an outside month. That can't change. It's red on the month, but it's an outside month, which means it's a broadening formation on a shorter term time frame. There it is. Amazon. Amazon takes them out, still hanging around the highs, right? But we'll see if we can take this hammer out. But obviously we're trading this on really shorter term time frames. Slight higher high in the month, red. Still no lower low. Netflix. The good thing about Netflix is still inside month, so it's still consolidating. So the moves might be muted a little bit, but hammer back through this stuff. Look, it's going to fill the gap. Is it? No, hammer. We'll see if we can go hammer back up through that stuff come Monday morning. Google. Slight lower low, right? Trying to come back up. Thing about Goog, have to have a real nice move to not be inside weak, right? But comes back through all this stuff. Agilent, letter A. Up, down, triangle them out. Triangle looks like this. Here, we drew this before. Comes here. Now you can redraw anytime you take out the lows, like so, inside day. So we'll see how that goes. Because Intel drew this triangle for you and went right to the tick. Here, this. Oh, we're home free. Are we? Boom, puke. Puke. Momentum shooter. Takes out 2. Tries to go 2-2 reversal. Goes 2-2-2. Right? Right back down. Now hammer. Adobe. Daily hammer. And once again, still inside month, so consolidating. So maybe we get something out of that hammer, but how far it goes, another story. ADI. Good chance you go inside weak, but you can see this. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Are you sure things don't trade in broadening formations? I bet they do. Here, take out the lows and go hammer. And this is one of the things you want to know. Triangle too tight. Higher high, lower low, higher high, get killed in here. Lower low, that's the real move. No, higher high, that's the real move. Oh, no, lower low, that's the real move. No, this is the real move. No, this is the real move. Okay? And that's how people get chopped up, not knowing, waiting for the things to get bigger. AMBA. So AMBA, on the weekly, hammer, counter shooter. So in a week of much debacle, the good thing about AMBA is this triangle here represents last month's outside month, and you're trying to get back into that. So AMBA a little bit more interesting off the weekly hammer here above 49.08. ANET. Outside week fractal try, which is still pretty good considering in the month it's still a doji. Daily hammer. So what you're going to see here when you keep looking at triangle, see this? People are like, it's a double bottom. I'm like, no, it's not. That's a lower low. So you hear people say double bottom, you know what to tell them. No, it's not. There's your triangle. Cirrus Logic. 1, 2, 3 days completely in this bar's range. Tough to get out of there. So potential inside week, but it is inside day. We'll see if they've done what they're going to do to it. Cyber. Green on the month. Trying to take out last month's highs above 44.30. Weekly outside hammer, that's a 3. So it'd be fractal triangle expansion above 44.46 with full time frame count to the upside. eBay. Triangle becomes support. Won't get into that tonight. Take my word for it. Anyway, inside week, so you'd have to get outside of there. Futures related, daily hammer. FTNT. Tight triangle business this, getting chopped up. However, the month is green. Outside week, bullish engulfing. Scenario 3, 2 above 47. IAC. Outside week, fractal triangle. Hammer. And here's when the broadening formations get nasty. Tight. Bigger. So the question can be strong enough to go hammer and take it all the way back up. Log me in. Daily hammer. Monthly, too strong to take out the monthly lows. So we prefer on something like this that's grinding to come off of here if we can. What sets up the weekly hammer to try and take this out. So gradually walking up, triangle they out, slight lower low, 3 bar, triangle they out. Nvidia. Weekly comes up to hammer. Now would go trying to go to the highs above 238.89. Monthly still inside month. Daily would have to try and take this hammer out. 238.89. OLED. Triangled them out hard, coming down into here. So if it's going to rally here, you got the 2 down, this 2 down. 2 takes out the low, so it would go 2-2 reversal back up to the upside with the weekly going green above 146.40. Overstack. Outside day. And that's a fractal triangle. Right? And so the thing was, Overstock was green on the week. Here, trying to get back into this. It's still 2 down because it took 2 there, but it would go 2-2 reversal back up above 60.79. Now, outside day to the upside above 60. So keep an eye on that. Corvo. The few, the proud. Corvo. On the gap, still inside month and up. 1-2. Big range to get out of, but it is inside week to try and get out of this triangle. SWKS. Outside week, that's a fractal try in and of itself. Trying to take the inside month back up against 103.71. Here's the daily chopping them up, but good in here. All right, so we'll see if we can get outside of that. Twitter holds the gap. So this, Twitter, by 3 cents took out those lows. So when you have this 2, if we take this out, we're looking to go after that. Now we might run out of time, but Twitter going to get our attention here above 31.80. As it's green in the month. Not everybody can say that. WB. Still inside months, which means we can look for the reverse. Daily. Hammer counters outside bar. This is going to be your fractal try and get into this stuff. Once again, with this high volatility, this could happen in 5 minutes, but there's your WB triangle right there. WIX. Monthly. Takes out last month's lows. Good shot at going 3 if I'm going to come up here and take this stuff out. Daily. Hammer. Stop them out. So the question is, can we go 2, 3, 2 and back in through this stuff? Weekly rev strat inside hammer above 61.95. AAOI. Puke. Can't get out of his own way. So we're looking for this. It's albeit drifting. It's a 3 outside day. So we'll see if they can just keep drifting into oblivion. ACIA. You can see this 3 stuck in here. So it's not doing much, but it's not getting hit either. And so if you go to the weekly, see this. It's not an inside week, so it either could try and go back down, but I want to be aware of this outside week above 39.75. ADS. ADS, 1 week and down. Sets up daily hammer rev strat after slight lower low. Above 240, 277. AQXP. What got into you, boy? Well, what that's going to do is give you a nice green month. So we'll see if there's anything additional there. AYI. Having problems. That's a 3-2 monther down. However, if you're going to counter that, you got a weekly hammer to get back into this triangle. Above 150.67. BG Bungie. Outside week. That's 3. Daily triangle looks like this. This here triangle's they out. All these guys. If we take the hammer, we want to look and see if we can get to the back to the top of the try up through that, or better, and do measured move stuff like that. Colgate. Hammer. What do you know? Weekly triangle like this. Bam, 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 bam. And now you're coming off this. Might go inside weak, but it's a good triangle to keep an eye on. CME. Still hanging around the recent highs. So as much as they tried to pummel things, green on the month. Chop shop daily. Right here. Just something I want to know about that's hanging around the highs with all this volatility. Coherent. Inside day. And this thing moves like nobody's business. Been doing very well in this. The rev strat month. Inside month. Outside month. 1, 3, 2 puke. But you've taken all this stuff out. So the question has got more puke in it. Easily goes inside weak. If it starts to rally, you redraw the triangle anytime you close out on lower lows. Here's your broadening formation. Would easily have an inside week. But this inside day, because this thing moves so much, it could produce something. We'll keep an eye on that. EQIX. Watching this triangle, if this thing wants to rocket back for it through this, you'll have sub triangles like so. Granger, GWW. Outside day, fractal try to the upside. Rev strat weaker. Here, still a multiple bar pattern here, but inside comes back down for the 1-2-2 reversal over 269.34. Ah, Lord have mercy. MRCY. Rev strat weaker. Inside weak shooter. Hammer counters it. Above 46.27. Caught this today watching this, the 60. Drew this. Market was coming in. This thing kept going up. Inside 60, inside 60. looking to take that out, which we did. Triangle like so. SAFM. Monthly. Still doji. So still trying to do something here. So if we can come back up, take this hammer back up through 129.79, full time frame counter to the upside. Higher highs, outside bar, like so. Shop. Shop. Doji weak. Good chance of going inside weak. Still red on the month, but having a tough time really hitting this thing. So this thing's moving around enough. Just close enough to make it to the highs if we start rallying. Win resorts. Win triangles these guys out too strong for that. So slightly lower here. The thing that Win does is potential weekly shooter here. And if it takes these guys out, it would then take last month's lows out. Shooter. Tesla. So Tesla does this. Monthly. Takes out the lows. So far, there's a lot of month left. Too strong to take that out, but you took these guys out. Red on the month. Last week, inside week and down. So, triangle goes back to this. Everybody that they took out. Like that. Still would be a higher level try than that. All right, but good chance of inside week if it does rally on the daily. Goes down, takes a bunch of stuff out like that. So this big 2-day range and stuff like that, we'll see. All right, so like I said, the futures are in control. That's why you're going to see all these things look very similar as far as the hammers are concerned. We got this and that and this and that. Once things either start going all futures to the upside, there's still a good chance of a lot of inside weeks. All right, but we want to be aware of if volatility stays at 30, stuff like that, you're going to see the futures in control. That's very important. Once again, if you'd like to email me, rob.smith@t3live.com. I did that webinar. I did a bunch of stuff. I've told you this over and over again, that when you see all these indicators and guys trying to do all that kind of stuff, eventually they're going to flounder, which they do. They need that low volatility to whatever, try and justify what they're doing. This is the environment to come see us. And so when we did the webinar, the last 2 days, the people that came with us, what I said, I asked them, I said, are we who we said we are? And they said, yes, you are. All right, because volatility is something you want to know how to trade. This is what we do. We hunt it down. That's why we go after the gap list and stuff like this, because when you know how to trade that, you can get the biggest moves all the time. So if you'd like to join us, I think you should, because I had a naysayer at the end of the webinar, and he's like, why should I listen to you? I'm like, because if you don't, your money going to be our money. I promise you that, right? And anyway, I really like to help people. I don't like to be, like I said, a chest bump or anything like that. But hopefully you come see me, and hopefully, if not, this shows you what's going on. All right, so good night, and God bless.